concept of the end of the world has plagued humanity for thousands of years, from apocalyptic writings in myth and religion to popular fictional stories and themes. The end has always fascinated us, and it should. Though humans have a hard time with ending. A total end, the black void of oblivion, it's frightening. We need something to hold on to cling to. Enter the post-apocalypse. Post-apocalyptic stories have been around just as long as apocalyptic stories have, and this translates into the storytelling arena of video games. Though there are so many different kinds. Nuclear post-apocalypses like Fallout or Mad Max. Green apocalypses like The Last of Us. Zombie apocalypses like Dead Island, Dying Light, Days Gone, and The Walking Dead. To quote from Ron Perlman's introduction during Fallout 3, but it was not, as some had predicted, the end of the world. Instead, the apocalypse was simply the prologue to another bloody chapter of human history, for man had succeeded in destroying the world. But war never changes. I remember the first time I heard those words. It was grim and realistic, but oddly hopeful. There are several games and characters that I'm going to go over throughout the course of this video, though the background footage is limited by what I've already recorded. There are sub-themes in this fictional genre that I think support a few ideas. 1. The human race is incredibly enduring. We have a relentless drive to keep pushing forward. 2. We resist the idea of complete annihilation, with varying degrees of interpretation on what that means. 3. As storytellers, as people, the end of everything, the world as we know it can allow for us to become new people, better people, even in the worst circumstances. There is a hidden storyline in the Honest Hearts DLC for Fallout New Vegas. Spread across several caves and terminals, you can read the story of Randall Clark, the survivalist. A first-hand account of the Great War and the decades that followed, all up until old age and possible cancer got to the old man. Several times, Clark fell into self-loathing, and he had several suicidal episodes. However, it was never the fate of this man to take his own life. In his own words, his body kept going. Through the end of the world, the loss of his family, and the guilt for not being there with them, to surviving against nuclear winter and a horrifying new reality. He faced raiders, cannibals, feral ghouls, all of them eager to take his life. Randall Clark was a man possessed of the survivor's will, even when he didn't want it. Similarly, the player character in any of the Fallout games is equally possessed of this survivor's will. The original Vault Dweller, the Chosen One, the Lone Wanderer, the Courier, and the Sole Survivor. All of these protagonists face the wastes and are forever changed by that experience. Taken as fact, any of the experiences of a typical Fallout protagonist instantly makes them a legend, simply because of the destruction and death that follows in their path. In Fallout 3, New Vegas, and Fallout 4 specifically, there are statistics that you can look at as you progress through the game. A few of them are humorous, and a few of them are potentially disturbing. A few notable statistics are days passed, creatures killed, and people killed. I challenge you, just play the games. Don't go out of your way, but defend yourself. Watch as this kill count soars over an in-game month. Then, think of your own month. I doubt any of you are going to have a similar experience to the ones that you have in the Fallout universe. Let's also take a look at a less RPG experience and more of an action-adventure. It's no less post-apocalyptic. It's Mad Max. Max Rockatansky is a former highway patrolman. he's become lost to the madness of what comes after the end of the world. And he's already a legend of the wasteland by the time we catch up with him in the game. But, stripped of his equipment and his car, Max is reduced to a scavenger, but he gains the assistance of a mechanic and a dog. Everything done in this very underrated game is born of necessity and need. You need to get stronger. You need to build up your new car, and you need to dismantle Scrotus's warbands to do it. You need to make a car strong enough to make it to the plains of silence. It's never that simple, and often the player can see that Max can't see the bigger picture beyond that single goal. A man reduced to a single instinct, which I have to give it up to Tom Hardy from his role as Max in Fury Road. This small section from the movie is just perfect.
My name is Max. My world is fire and blood.
Why are you hurting these people? It's the oil, stupid.
Oil wars.
We are killing for gasoline.
The world is actually running out of water.
Now there's the water wars. Water wars.
Once, I was a cop, a road warrior searching for a righteous cause.
To the terminal freakout point.
Mankind has gone rogue.
Terrorizing itself.
Thermonuclear skirmish.
The earth is sour.
Our bones are poisoned. We have become half-life.
As the world fell, each of us in our own way was broken. It was hard to know who was more crazy. Me or everyone else.
Hello? Where are you? Where are you, Max?
Here they come again, worming their way into the black matter of my brain.
Help us, Max. You promised to help us.
I tell myself, they cannot touch me. They are long dead.
Often, it is that singular drive forward that allows someone like Max to survive, to endure. But at what cost? And what happens when that singular drive begins to fracture? So, as the world dies and we resist that fate, what remains? Several games explore this idea to varying degrees of interpretation. None, in my opinion, so much than two. The Fallout series and the Mad Max game from 2015. You may have heard of it. In all of the Fallout games, we begin to see the reemergence of civilization in a variety of ways. In Mad Max, we see a much more feral comeback. So let's take a look at the four corners of New Vegas first. We have Mr. House's New Vegas, the Independent Vegas, the New California Republic, and Caesar's Legion. Each of the different aspects of the way the world of New Vegas can be directed are as varied as they are plausible. Each of the paths can technically work, morals notwithstanding. Under Mr. House, the independent zone of New Vegas would welcome any and all who can afford her vices. Structured and orderly, free of the complications of a democracy, but built on the structure of control. Free from cruel and unusual punishment, but where profits and the rule of one will is supreme. Then we have the New California Republic, or the NCR. It's based on old world values, most closely resembling the America of the past, but with all of the bloat and bureaucracy that caused a world weariness and mass panic before the bombs. Caesar's Legion, built upon an even older ideological foundation and one chosen specifically for the state of the world. The people of Legion lands are safe, if compliant. They may not all be slaves, but they are not citizens. Not even the brave legionnaires who fight and die for Caesar are free. They are slaves, operating in a massive army under one unified will with no lasting legacy or vision beyond the will of Caesar. Then there's the independent path, arguably the most popular, but also the most unstable. The courier can unite all of the smaller factions under one will to topple Mr. House's monopoly of power, only to eventually replace him with themselves. They can stop the Legion at Hoover Dam and even dissuade or displace the NCR to return back west. However, we have no infrastructure, and our right-hand bot, not so subtly, hints at working to overcome his agreeable nature. The courier ultimately disappears from wasteland history, and everyone still standing in the Mojave is left to coexist without the unifying force of what brought them together in the first place. All of that history doesn't just vanish, but for one glorious moment, it was set aside. Now, let's take a look at the section of the wasteland that we see in the Mad Max game. We have Gastown, ruled by Scabrous Scrotus, son of the Immortan Joe. Then we have 4 disjointed and scattered hubs of survivors, local leaders. They include Jeet, Gutgash, Pink Eye, and Deep Frya. Each of these local leaders have things that Max and Chumbucket need to keep the magnum opus running and improving into a war machine. Each of these hubs are located in places that would make sense for the setting, but they lack depth. Compared to a heavy role-playing game like New Vegas, that is not to say that there aren't depths to what is here. We see the story not so much by being told or reading about it, but by observing as Max goes through these interactions. With Scrotus and his war boys, we know them as the universal enemy. It was Scrotus and his war boys that destroyed Max's interceptor, the Black on Black. It was Scrotus that beat and stripped Max of his armored jacket and his trusty sawn-off shotgun, and it was their raiding that stopped his journey to the Plains of Silence. So we meet Jeet. He's located in a lighthouse. We meet a very brash man with severe burn scars on one side and metallic piercings in his head. He's crass and violent and likely insane, though he is the friendliest face that we have seen up to this point aside from Chumbucket. His people are relatively normal and seek only to survive. They're typical wastelanders. These are the sort of people you would expect to see. Rough, but welcoming of help and reliability. With Gutgash, he's located in a beached ship, and we see something different. They have tradition, and they have this universal faith in a coming flood where they'll sail back into the ocean, and they need to be ready for it. As mariners in the heart of a dried ocean, this fanatical hope, it honestly looks foolish, but you can see that it is by this faith that they are hardened and their resolve is strengthened. Pink Eye is a bit of an interesting story, caring for her people like kind of a communal mother, and bound to a motorized wheelchair-like vehicle. She is just as grizzled as Jeet or Gutgash. She's a former road warrior, and she wields a shotgun that resembles the one that Max had in the prologue. She commands respect, and she leads. They reside in a power plant cooling tower, and are just looking for enough of a clean break to leave behind the region, traveling into a vast desert on the edge of the map called the Big Nothing. Finally, is the Holy Man, the Deep Frya, closest to Gastown and living in a strange temple off of an oil field, pumped with flames. They believe in ritualistic suicide practices in which they release the faithful from their mortal bodies. Seemingly kind, but deeply disturbed and badly burned, the Deep Frya has less development than I would have liked, and mostly serves as a staging point for some of the story's most depraved scenes. The conflict with Hope, her daughter Glory, and then Stank Gum and Scroach, really, it just steals the show here. Gastown itself is the most densely packed area from a lore perspective, though for the type of game this is, it's more of a set piece than anything. Fleshed out greatly in this game, and then later in the Furiosa spin-off, Gastown is more of a symbol of oppression and the sort of overindulgence that the old world permitted on a scale that is a reminder of how the wasteland came to be the way it is. Over it, Scrotus, a man who is nearly as resilient as Max, back from the dead and one heck of a head wound. What we see in all of these settlements is human resilience, but taken in different directions. Jeet is a general survivor who focuses on manufacturing, trade and utility, an up-and-coming ammunition mill. Gutgash is a traditionalist with faith in a new flood. He kind of resembles a post-apocalyptic Noah. Pink Eye is the retired road warrior, trying to make sure her people can make a steady exodus to their demise or their success, because they make it clear that it is better going off into the big nothing than trying to hold on in the region. Deep Frya runs a temple dedicated to fire worship and whose main religious practice is the ritualistic suicide of his faithful. And then there's Gastown, indentured to Scrotus and his father, the Immortan Joe, a town built on a very finite resource, promoting violence and death and relishing in it. All upheld by this strange sort of worship of Joe. There is hope, but it's tainted, like radiation. In all of it, there's Max and the player, endlessly pursuing something that might not even exist. And if you haven't seen the end of this story, well, it says something about the things we chase. The 2015 film, Mad Max Fury Road, ends with this quote. It is a fictional quote from an in-universe character. However, it fully encapsulates my final point about post-apocalypses and what they can do for characters. It is a statement that takes a look at past, present, and future. So, stated to those who survived the apocalypse or were born into it, those of the present, we must ask the question, where must we go? What roads do we take through the lives we lead? The world is a wasteland. It is a desolate and dangerous place. Though, are we looking? Are we even searching for our better selves? Sometimes. We see enough of the opposite. Scrotus, Stank Gum, Caesar, the Enclave, the Pit Raiders, the NCR, Mr. House. There are those who do search for their better selves, though. James, the Lone Wanderer's father. Fox, the super mutant who just wanted to learn. Veronica, the Brotherhood scribe looking for a true purpose. Joshua Graham, a man burned by fire and by life, who chose to begin again with faith. Even Max, though sometimes he has to be convicted or convinced. And if you two walk the wastes, maybe you do too. So, where will you go? Searching through these wastelands, what are you searching for? Thanks for tuning in to this talk about one of my favorite genres in storytelling. If you like videos like this, consider liking and maybe typing out a comment. If you like videos like this, let me know below. And subscribe if you haven't. Do all the things, ring the bell, and I will see you in the next video. I hope you are having a lovely day, and remember, as always, keep telling stories.